Hello and welcome to the DTC Corner, short for District Testing Coordinator Corner, with your host, me, Eric Blackford, here with Joplin Schools. Today we're going to be discussing the practice forms. The Missouri State Test for grades 3 through 8, taken in the spring every school year, COVID year excluded, has practice forms that mirror the spring summative map test. The practice forms are available for use in schools and classrooms throughout the school year. If you choose to use the practice forms, which is 100% voluntary in each of your respective buildings, these can be used to help measure specific student strengths, areas of need, skills, and knowledge to help guide instruction. So, how are the practice forms identical to the spring map test assessments, you say? Well, they share the same item types, universal tools and accommodations available, required materials, allowed materials, prohibited materials, and school test coordinator and test examiner responsibilities. Practice forms come in two different types, released and secure. Released practice forms may be administered as often and as many times as you would like if you so choose to administer them within your respective buildings. The secure practice form is a one and done and will most mimic the conditions for the state test. If you were to administer this, it may be best to do so around the month of February so there is enough space between the secure form testing and the actual state testing window that starts in April and goes through the end of the school year. If a student takes the online version of the practice, release, or secured form, most items are auto-scored by the system. For open-ended items, the educator scoring tool will be required. For those items, student responses will be available for scoring in the portal within 24 to 48 hours after a student completes the test. Your classroom teachers will have access to the portal to score those responses if, again, your building decides to participate in the practice secure form testing. Test directions are available in the examiner's manual for administering the practice forms. If you also have students requiring a paper or large print version, please let me know, as I have access to these for students and can email copies to you as needed. If you do administer the practice or secure form to a student requiring a large print or paper-based copy, the student responses will have to be entered by the examiner into the Insight system for a score to be provided. For more information, I'm going to play the following snippet from Desi's tutorial regarding the practice forms.
Missouri grade level practice forms are free, online, fixed form tests that have been designed to mirror the spring summative assessments. All test items in the practice forms are fully aligned to the Missouri Learning Standards grade level expectations. These practice tests will be available for use in schools and classrooms throughout the school year on a voluntary basis from October 4th, 2021 through July 22nd, 2022. The practice forms are available to students in grades 3 through 8 and will assess the content areas of mathematics, English language arts, and science. The table here shows the content areas and associated grade levels in which the practice forms will assess. The practice forms consist of questions aligned to the Missouri Learning Standards grade level expectations and includes a range of item types as shown here on this slide. The purpose of the practice forms is to provide educators and students an opportunity to preview the content and practice the technology they will see in the summative assessment. The practice forms are not designed to be a predictive tool to indicate how a student will perform on the spring summative tests. It is very important that district and school personnel not use student results from the practice forms to gauge how students may perform on the summative assessments. The practice forms are standalone, full-length, computer-based practice tests that are aligned to the Missouri Learning Standards grade level expectations. The test questions included are representative of the range of content and types of questions found on the Missouri grade level assessments. The table presented on this slide and the next provides additional details about the practice forms for each grade and content area. Teachers can have students take the released version of the practice forms as often and as many times as they would like. There is no minimum or maximum number of times that a student can take the released practice forms. If administered at different times during the school year and at the end of the school year, information from the released practice forms can be used to provide teachers with an assessment of student learning at a given point in time or over time. The secure version of the practice forms mirrors the design and functionality of the summative assessments, where students only take the assessment once. Districts and schools will have access to student results through the interactive reports functionality via the portal. The 3 reports that will be available are raw score rosters, student test item files, and item summary reports. The practice forms provide results designed to help the teacher understand strengths and areas for improvement of each student. The student roster allows teachers to evaluate the overall student performance on the test. The individual student response maps allows teachers to analyze each student's performance on individual test items in order to gain insight into their strengths and needs at various times throughout the school year.